Hi everyone, my name's Katrina and today I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I read in the month of August. I was on vacation for a lot of August, and I also participated in the Booktubeathon and the Owls version of the Magical Readathon. I'll leave links in the description below if you guys are interested in seeing reading vlogs about all of the books that I read in the month. And in addition to talking about what I'm reading and what I'm thinking as I go, I also include some clips from New Zealand because I went traveling in August. It was so much fun. Books. You want to know about books? I read 7 books in the month of August. I had a bit of a mixed reading month, and I'm going to talk about the books, what I thought about them. First things first, I have The Subtle Knife by Philip Pullman, second book in the His Dark Materials series. I've been listening to these on audio and I've come to the conclusion that that is not the right way for me to listen to these books. I do think the audiobooks are really well done. They have a cast of narrators and Philip Pullman is actually narrating the majority of the story, and it's like different people coming in to voice the dialogue for different characters, and I think it is a really good job. I just find that I struggle to focus with these. I tune out a lot and then I come back in and I'm like, what's happened? You know what? I don't really care, and just continue on. I think with the last book in this series, I'm going to try reading the physical book and seeing if that helps with my enjoyment, because I don't really care much for anything, which isn't fabulous. And I would like to care because I want to care about the books I read. I don't want to not enjoy them and feel so meh about them. So honestly, there's not really much else that I feel like I can say. So yeah, 2.5 stars. I also gave 2.5 stars to Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. This is very loosely based on Rumpelstiltskin. We follow Miriam, who is the daughter of a moneylender, and we follow Irina, who is the daughter of a duke. We also follow Wanda and her brothers, who are from a family that aren't quite as well off. It's about these characters' lives become intertwined with the Stark, which are kind of fae creatures, and the Tsar, who is like possessed by a demon. I honestly thought I was going to enjoy this a lot more than I did. I think my main issue with this is that I had a problem with the perspectives. I don't often have an issue with books with multiple perspectives. That's not something that I ever really find to be an issue for me personally, but with this one, it irritated me a lot. I think that I would have enjoyed Spinning Silver more if this was written from the third person point of view. Even though we're in these characters' heads, I didn't find that I connected with them, so I don't think I would have lost too much if we were in a third person point of view. And I found some of the perspectives to be so unnecessary and kind of pointless. We couldn't have had those scenes from one of the perspectives that we were already hearing from. In total, there were 6 perspectives we are introduced to. I had no issue with Miriam, Irina, and Wanda's perspectives. The Tsar was interesting, though not totally necessary. Stepan's and Margretta's I thought were kind of pointless. And those perspectives only actually were introduced in the last half of the book, which was kind of jarring to be introduced to a completely new perspectives and just adding more confusion to the mix. And that's 6 perspectives without any indicators at the start of the chapter about who is speaking. You just kind of have to deduce from who is around them. And when we have multiple characters who we get perspectives on in the same scene, it got very confusing. The pacing was also quite slow. Like the middle half of the book I found to be quite a slog. I was really fascinated by the world building in the first third, and then the last section we do get a little bit more action as we hit the climax of the story, and I really enjoyed how everything kind of culminated in this story. I really liked the resolution. It was just the middle part of the book and the perspectives that really hindered my enjoyment, so it took me quite a while to read this. A lot of people have been really enjoying this book, so I think it's probably worth definitely giving a go if this sounds like something that you might be interested in. For me, it just wasn't my cup of tea. Some things didn't quite work out for me. Next up, we have The Last Olympian by Rick Riordan. This is the final book in the Percy Jackson series. I have made it. Compared to the last couple of books in the series, I really enjoyed this. I've been listening to these on audio, and again, I would find myself zoning out a little bit. I struggle a tiny bit with fantasy sometimes on audiobook, so maybe not the best way to consume the story, but nevertheless, I gave this one 3.5 stars. Overall, I did enjoy it. I didn't find myself like super engaged for like the first part of the story, but I really liked how this book, and as well as the series as a whole, kind of resolved. I thought it was a really satisfying end. Enjoyed it, but probably would have enjoyed it more if I'd read the physical book and if maybe I'd read this like 10 years ago. Binti by Nnedi Okorafor. This is another one that I listened to on audio, and I thought the audiobook for this was the perfect format. This is a novella. It is super short. I think it's less than 100 pages, and the audiobook is about 2.5 hours long, so you can just totally whiz through this book. So this is a science fiction novella. We follow Binti, who is of the Himba people from Earth, and she is the first of her people to go off to Umza University, which is like an intergalactic university. People from different planets all come to this place to learn, And on her journey to the university, her ship is attacked by another species. And it's about how Binti deals with this situation and plays a key role in resolving the situation too. And I really enjoyed this one. I thought there was just so much packed into here considering how short it was. The narrator I think did a fantastic job as well, and I do have the second and third books in this series. Unsure yet if I'll read the physical ones or listen to the audio. Might try book 2 physically, see how I go enjoying that. It was just such a delightful read. It was a lot of fun, and I really liked learning about these different ways of life, these different alien ways of life, and how they interact with each other, and how Binti approached the situation and used her mind, her skills, and her talent to resolve the complication. Binti I gave 4 out of 5 stars. Now we are down to the last 3 books that I read in August, and they were all 5-star reads. First of all, we have Fire by Kristin Cashore. This is the sequel to Graceling, which I read 6 years ago now, something ridiculous. It's taken me 6 years to read this, and it's not like I needed to reread Graceling or anything because it's like a companion prequel. We're following completely different characters in a different part of the world, but I'm just so annoyed at myself for taking this long to get to this book because I was just blown away by how much I enjoyed it. Like, it was a pleasant surprise how much I enjoyed this. As you can see, I tabbed the bejesus out of this book. Just so many things I loved about it. As I mentioned, Fire is not set in the same part of the world as Graceling is. It's set in the Dells, and in the Dells, Gracelings don't really exist. Instead, they have monsters. Monsters are creatures that are easily identifiable based on their colors, so they have like brightly colored fur, hair, plumage, stuff like that, and they also have the ability to control minds. With the animal monsters, they will control their victims' minds and lure them to their death, kill them, eat them, whatever they want to do. Like, most of the time the monsters are pretty damn deadly. There's also human monsters who, again, are easily identifiable. They have like super brightly colored hair and have the ability to control people's minds or like communicate with people through their mind, things like that. And the main character of Fire, named Fire, is a human monster, and she has like fire colored hair, like bright red, oranges, stuff like that. Looks like she's got a flame on her head. And most of the people in Dells are pretty fearful of monsters to begin with, but also human monsters, because Fire's father was a dickhead, would be putting it lightly. He was essentially like the hand to the king and was controlling, dangerous guy. You didn't want to get on his bad side, otherwise you would not live to tell the tale. And Fire is quite unlike her father, but she's obviously having to deal with the fact that there's all these people that are against human monsters because of their experiences with her father. Oh, I really loved Fire as a main character. I loved seeing this story from her perspective. I thought it was so interesting seeing how she saw the world and interacted with people and was still so kind of humble and kind, even though she can be treated like complete shit by so many people. Sex is a thing that happens in here, and it's not like taboo or anything. Like, it's nice and pleasurable, and it mentions menstruation as well, because basically monsters are attracted to blood, and especially other monster blood. So when Fire is having her period, all these other monsters are like, oh, what's that I smell? And then just try and attack her. I really liked the romance in here. We get like a hate to love relationship, which I am trash for. The politics was so fascinating, and I really just admired Fire's morals and how she questioned so many things because she was really against a lot of the things that her father did. So she just did her best to not become her father and prove everybody wrong. And I really appreciated that about her. I loved this so much. The characters were amazing. They were just so pure, and I would love to know, for those of you who have read the Graceling trilogy, which book was your favourite? 5-star shelf down here. The last 2 books were a delight, an absolute delight to read, and that is A Gathering of Shadows and A Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab, the second and third books in the Darker Shade of Magic trilogy. Also another instance of me kicking myself for not getting to these sooner because they were so good. I gave both of these 5 out of 5 stars. I think I gave the first book in the series 4 or 4.5, so these were definitely my faves. A Gathering of Shadows for me is what really solidified my love for these characters. Lila, Kel, Rai, Alucard, oh my god, we meet him in this and I just like immediately fell head over heels. Oh my god, precious babes. I really liked the setting of this, and I liked how action-packed it was. And this one, action-packed, doesn't feel quite forceful enough. I feel like it doesn't quite encompass how intense this book was. And I just really admired how so many of the characters sacrificed so much. It was a very satisfying conclusion. I liked how V.E. Schwab wrapped up the series as a whole, and the places that all of the characters were just felt so right. Such a great time reading this series. I buddy read these with Cassie and Red, and it was amazing. Great experience. Just so happy. Those are all of the books that I read in the month of August. I hope you guys enjoyed this wrap-up video. I would love to hear about which books you read in August and that were your favorite. Send me those recommendations in the comment section below. That's all that I have for now. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you very soon in a new video, but until then, I will talk to you in the comments. Bye!